Season has arrived.
Okay, welcome everybody. Mesillas Yesharim, up to his Rizos. It's been a big break, and now up to the second rung of the ladder. The first one was the Zehirus, and Zehirus meant that a person is careful what he's doing. He's conscious. I guess the word would be conscious, alert, and he thinks what's right and what's wrong, and he sees that he's doing according to what he thinks is right, and strategies how to repair and avoid the pitfalls. And now we go to the midah called Rizos. Rizos in English would be called ALACRITY.
What?
ALACRITY, the opposite of procrastination, to do things right away. And that's a chiddush. We would say that it's a nice midah, but he makes it into a whole, not him, but Pinchas Ben Yair, that says that it's a whole different level. The level of doing things right away without procrastinating. Sometimes people think the word Rizos means to do things hurriedly, but the way that the author, the Mechaber, that he introduces the subject is going to be not to procrastinate, to do it right away, not to stall, not to push it off. And that changes the whole person. He's going to say that it's a rung of a person's growth, not just a nice side point, but it's going to be a whole level. A person goes up a level from first he's a level of a Zohir, and then he goes up to the level of being a Zoriz. So just to start an introduction, like always, he's going to first say what it is, and then the different parts, and then how to acquire it, and how to watch out for impediments. So he starts Perek Vav, Perek 6, Beveyor Midas Hazrizos, an explanation of what the attribute of ALACRITY is. After a person has already acquired the level of being conscious and careful and alert, so now comes the level called ALACRITY. So the Mesillas Yesharim says that the issue of Zehirus is more restricted to the issue of lo saseh, of the averos not to do, negative commandments, that you have to be careful not to transgress a negative commandment. And Zrizos, on the other hand, is more active, that to do something, do it right away. You can't say not to do something right away, you just don't do it. But the issue of Zrizos applies to the positive. When you're going to do something, so do it right away. There is a point to discuss that L'chara Zehirus is not only on a lo saseh. Zehirus also applies to an aseh also. What does it mean? Zehirus means a person is alert and conscious. So there are two ways to be careful. One is to be careful when he sees a pitfall, he sees a place where he might, an obstacle, he might fall, so he's careful not to fall on the obstacle. But there's also an issue of being careful to notice what he has to notice. Let's say we gave awareness of the positive also. Let's say we say an example, that a person is going in a park, and he doesn't think it's dangerous. He goes with his hands behind his back and his eyes up in the sky, looking at the birds. Everything's calm, oblivious to any kind of danger. So he's right if he's in a park, but if he's in a highway and he's going to walk like that, so then he's in danger. So the first point was that a person should realize they are danger, and he should open up his eyes and look where he's going and be careful.
That's Zehirus.
That's Zehirus. Is there also Zehirus in a positive commandment? Means there's also an issue about being oblivious to all of the good that he might get. Let's say he's in a place where there are diamonds on the floor, and he's oblivious, and he's walking with his hands behind his back and his eyes in the sky. He's not going to see the diamonds also. So l'chara, there is the issue just as much as Zehirus applies to a lo saseh, it also applies to an aseh. Besides the issue of being alacritous and not procrastinating, doing it right away, the first thing is to notice it. And the Mesillas Yesharim doesn't. Passing it up. But passing it up is that's the issue. Passing up is going to be his issue. That you don't pass it up. If you know it, if you see it, don't pass it up and come back to it. I'll come back to it in a half hour.
Passing it up is a result of not being Zehirus.
Right, the chora. That passing it means you don't see it at all. So the Mesillas Yesharim, interestingly enough, doesn't make an issue out of that. He just talks about Zehirus and lo saseh on a negative commandment. When he talks about a positive commandment, he jumps to his reasons to do it right away. But l'chora, someplace you have to fit it in, maybe between the two paragraphs, between the two prakim, someplace you have to stick in. There's also an issue about noticing and being alert and conscious about opportunity. If you don't notice the opportunity, you're not going to do it. So I don't know where he's going to fit it in. I would fit it into Zehirus. The main issue of Zehirus maybe is going to be on a negative. Watch out for the traps, for the pitfalls. But the real is also
one is damaging, and the other one is just not productive.
But if a person, but where are you going to put it into the ladder? There's a ladder over here climbing. Zeros, reasons. Someplace you have to fit it in. That a person should be conscious of all opportunity and not just ignore it. Not to be oblivious, as you said. Not to be oblivious of all the opportunity that there is. Hashem gave us many mitzvahs, I say. And if a person is going to go through life oblivious of all that, he's going to miss out. So before we talk about alacrity and not procrastinating, first we have to talk about noticing it, being conscious, and realizing that there is opportunity in front of us, and pick up the diamonds. Then there's a new chiddush. Even though he sees there's a diamond, he'll say, okay, I see it's a diamond, I'm very interested, I'll come back in a half hour. That's going to be his issue. His issue is going to say, don't procrastinate, don't push it off and think, because when you come back, it's not going to be there anymore. That's going to be that's his subject of Perek 6. I'm just mentioning that someplace we have to stick in that there's also an issue of zeros on a positive commandment also. So be conscious of the pitfalls, be conscious also of the opportunities, and that's all called zeros. And now he says, Rizos is revolving around a positive commandment, and this is going to be to do it right away, not to procrastinate, which we found the word last time was alacrity, to be alacritous. The issue of Rizos is that a person should, as soon as possible, hakdama. Hakdama means to do it soon, makdim. To a good English word, to be makdim. Hakdama, to do it as soon as possible.
Proceed.
But not the issue of proceeding, but as doing it as soon as possible. If anybody has a good word, I appreciate it. Hakdama, how do they translate it? Hakdama la mitzvahs?
Preempt.
Oh, preempt. That's a good. Preempt is beforehand.
Preempt is to prepare yourself beforehand for something that should be coming up.
Mm-hmm. His point is that you should do it right away. He wants to do it right away. As soon as you have opportunity to do a mitzvah, do it right away. Okay, so
advance themselves towards mitzvahs.
Advance. Okay, so the idea, maybe in a lot of words, we'll say to do it as soon as possible.
Right.
Hakdama la mitzvahs.
There is a fact of the considerate jumping into something without thinking is also not good.
Right. So it means as soon as possible. If that's not possible, it's not possible. You have to. Hakdama la mitzvahs ulashlam sinyanam, to do it as soon as possible and to finish it as soon as possible.
And
to finish.
Involves the swiftness of one's approach to a mitzvah and its speedy kind of situation.
Swiftness to approaching it. So okay, doing it right away. And to finishing it. He's going to talk about both issues. One is to start it as soon as possible, and one is once you started it, to finish it as soon as possible. He uses the word makdimim. He wants to prove that this is the issue, that this is the issue of rizos, that does it right away. So he says, rizim makdimim, there's rizim, the people who has rizim, so they makdim, they do it as soon as possible. They do it that's what the Gemara says, that a person should try to do the mitzvah as soon as possible, so they use this terminology. It's rizim makdimim
He
mitzvahs.
said also maybe makdimim b'mitzvahs, so lim-mitzvahs. But he's out to do it. It's like his he goes looking for them.
That doesn't say that. I don't think that it's included here. That would be a different issue. But that he knows the mitzvah is there, so he's makdim. He does it as soon as possible. The Gemara talks about over here about Rabbi Bris Milah, or that Avram Avinu went to do the Akedah. Vayashkem Avram Baboker. So to do it as soon as possible. When you have the opportunity to do a mitzvah, do it as soon as possible. So first, this whole parak is going to explain why it's important. Why is it an important thing? Later on, it's going to talk about the different aspects, the chalakim, the different parts. That's going to be in Perek Zion, Perek 7. But over here, it talks about why is it an important thing. V'zeh. Ki kemo shetzarech pikchus gadol v'ashkofa rabba linatzel mimokshe hayetzev v'limolet min hara. Just like he's going back to Zerus. How come it was necessary to be conscious of the Yetzer Hara and to see conscious of the Averis and to be on the lookout not to fall into any obstacle? Just like it's necessary a pikchos. The word pikchos sometimes is translated as to being smart, like a pikech is a smart person, but really it means to open up your eyes, like pakech ivrim. Just like it's necessary to be on the lookout. Pikchos gadol v'ashkofa rabba. You have to be looking, supervising, to be saved from the snares of the evil inclination and to escape evil. That it shouldn't control us to mix in to our actions. You have to watch out for the evil, that there shouldn't be any evil in our actions. That's the heroes, to be careful from evil. So too it's necessary to open up your eyes and to be supervising, to be looking, to grab to mitzvahs and to merit them, and they shouldn't be lost. It means just like you have to be careful not to fall into a trap of an Avera, you also have to be careful to be able to hold on to the mitzvahs. You have to grab the mitzvahs and hold on to
So
them.
this is the point of not to miss.
Not to miss it, not to miss it. But he's only going to talk about procrastinating. I would say you're right
A big
that you have
procrastination, then to miss it completely.
then missing it completely. But the point wouldn't be we wouldn't tell him to be swift. We would tell him to open up your eyes. He does say the words here pikchos. He does say the pikchos lashkafa rabba. But he's going to say the problem is that people stall and they procrastinate, and he's going to say the danger of procrastination.
Don't miss it.
But you're right that the word pikchos should include also. He has to open up his eyes to see it, which I wanted to put someplace in Zehirus maybe. The words rizus, he only talks about being makdim. Zriza makdimim. He doesn't put in the words rizus to notice it. But you have to notice it.
This is like once you've noticed it, now act
Right,
on it.
right. And that's what all he talks about over here. So I'm just saying that someplace you have to put in the issue about noticing it. I would call it maybe Zehirus, but he doesn't. So he says it's important. You should realize that you have to grab the mitzvahs. Don't think that that doesn't need any extra effort. You need effort to grab the mitzvahs also. Just like the evil inclination tries very hard, exerts himself with all of his strategies to make a person fall into the snares of sin, which is the issue of Aveira. So too, the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, is exerting himself to hold people back from doing mitzvahs, and he wants to make them people lose them. He's out. You don't think that he's only out to make you do an Aveira. There's a chiddush. You might think that. You might think that Yetzer Hara is only trying to make you do evil. He's also trying to hold you back from doing good. Also, that's the part of his job. Is also to hold you back from doing mitzvahs.
Well, when we say like that, it means like it's an internal voice in ourselves that's fighting against doing mitzvahs and against.
Right. So I don't know if you mean to say this.
Talking to the little, guy on your shoulders, that's a little sudden. Look at it. It's an internal thought process.
So you want to say that the Yetzer Hara doesn't definitely mean there's a malach. You want to, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
That you don't have to look at the Yetzer. Sometimes we say Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. We talk about a malach. That the Gemara very much personifies the Yetzer Hara as being a force that Hashem created as a malach. Usually that's how Chazal refer to it. But you're saying that you don't necessarily have to translate it that way. It can mean that person has innate in him is a inclination towards evil. That could be.
Isn't that Yetzer Tov, Yetzer Hara?
That's the question. Yetzer Hara, does it mean a malach, or does it mean the inclination that's innate in man that has an inclination towards evil also?
Obviously.
What?
Well, both. There's
Is there a malach? The Gemara calls.
Why would Misha call him a stranger then? The Yetzer Tov, like isn't that is it a Mishlei where he describes the Yetzer Tov as a stranger to the child, because the Yetzer Tov, he's born with the Yetzer Hara and he only knows taivas and he only knows
Until he becomes an adult.
an adult, so it's something that has to do with his nature.
So the Yetzer Hara is 13 years older than the Yetzer Hara. Tov, how does it go? Melech Zakin Uksil.
He's there from the day of birth.
Tov,
From the day of birth, he's with the child.
Yeled Miskin V'Chacham, Melech Zakin Uksil. But the question is, we're still going back, does that mean that that's the person's nature, or does it mean an outside force called a malach? Is there an angel?
To be
In nature. Even though you do find Chazal sometimes personifying the Yetzer Hara as being a malach, and he's trying tripping you up also.
It doesn't
I
belong
think
in
he's
us.
multitasking.
Made a big mistake and it came inside.
Yeah.
So it is foreign. It's not really us. But meanwhile, when we're in this form, so it's part of our.
You could say that it is us. You might say that it is us.
That's us.
Hashem created a man with the Yetzer Hara even before the goof.
Not just the
Right. It is an interesting point.
So Adam and Rishon had a Yetzer Hara.
Yes.
That's what kind
Yes.
of
Yes.
Adam Rishon had a Yetzer from outside.
I don't know where the terminology comes from.
That's it? No, I thought that was
The fact that
made the whole difference.
there are those that say such terminology. I don't know where it's based from. I did hear such a thing. I don't
Once he ate,
know.
it became integral.
Yeah. That we said, but
Once
still,
he ate it, it became
still
integral.
something
Before it was out.
First there was the
and
nachash.
once he ate it,
First it was the nachash like that.
Became Tova.
And that's the point of interest, is that you don't find in Chazal that they personify the Yetzer Tov as being a malach. You don't find. I think maybe you don't find in Chazal that the Yetzer Tov is a malach. You do find that the Yetzer Hara being a malach. The Gemara talks about him sometimes that he wanted to trip somebody up, so he caused he appeared as a woman or whatever it might be, and you talk about a force that's a creation, a being, a malach.
It has to also, you have to say that it has a very strong tzad to be part of us, because Why would the Gemara tell us to drag him into the base medrash? Who are you dragging? There's nobody that you're dragging. You're dragging yourself into the base medrash.
See, he's following you, but once you're in the base medrash, so then you're in your good territory.
Once he's wherever you go, that's where he's going to be. But in the base medrash, it'll change your consciousness.
But here he says, interesting point, that the Yetzer Hara has strategies. He has tachbulos. So if it's outside force, we understand the Malach has all kinds of tachbulos. But if it's the person's innate nature, so that would be he also has tachbulos. Means a person that sort of fools himself, that he's trying to so even though it's ourselves. We're fooling ourselves. So
and the Yetzer Tov
I've been such a time I've been good old boy.
it doesn't seem so. You don't find in Chazal.
But is he like 50% and Yetzer Tov is 50%? I mean, it's supposed to be even.
In the beginning, surely it was even, but it could be man because it was a favor. It could be that he tilted the scale, and now he has a more difficult time because he
have to work on it to overcome the.
Right, it's harder than it was originally. Other Mishnah Ramchal says it was 50-50, but once he sins, and now he made the Yetzer Hara stronger, and all the sins, subsequent sins that mankind did, so made it stronger and stronger. And now he still could win, but it's much more difficult. You have to overcome such a difficult evil inclination. So I'm asking.
Because in Shemaim it says that the Neshama says you gave me the Yetzer Hara, and it was
But we made it stronger. It's our fault that we made it stronger. It would have been 50-50, but we made it stronger, so now it's our fault. Hashem made the Yetzer Hara that it should be our doing, or else it wouldn't have been wouldn't have been us that did it. Now Hashem made the Yetzer Hara, Yetzer Tov, and now we made a decision. But now we made the wrong decision, so it became that much more evil. So however you're going to learn, so he says that the point is that the Yetzer Hara, however you're going to translate it to be an outside force or innate force, but his chiddush is that he doesn't just try to make you do averos. He also tries to make you lose out on positive commandments also. Not to be positive. That's also the evil inclination at work.
So Rabbi Yosef Tov, there's two sides.
And he's working on both. He's working on both fronts. That's the chiddush. You might think that his only interest is only to trip you up and make you do evil, to do averos. He says no. There's also part of his schedule, part of his agenda is also to make you miss up opportunities.
Sure, because if you don't do mitzvahs, then you're more inclined to do averos.
If you say not only that, if you don't do mitzvahs, so you're losing out. The fact you don't have the mitzvahs is already losing out. When Hashem made man, He made him that he's able. He's not perfect, and he has to acquire his perfection. And if he's not acquiring it, so he's lacking. Not only that he has a mum, he has a blemish, but he didn't get the perfections that he needs in order to be connected to Hashem. If a person is going to be lax, loose, and lazy, and not strengthen himself to run after them and to hold on to them, he's going to be left shaken out and empty from them. Surely going to be empty. He'll be missing many mitzvahs. So this is an interesting point. Noah Varek, as a pasuk in Nehemiah talks about Noah Varek, empty, shaken out, like you shake something out, nothing's left. So that's an interesting point that you see many people. One might ask. You see many people that are Nazrizim, they do procrastinate, but they still have many mitzvahs. Here he makes it sound like a person who's not a Zoriz, he's not a ALACRITY, so he's going to be empty of mitzvahs. And many people ask on this, that we find many people that are Nazrizim, but they have many mitzvahs. How could it be that a person who's not Zoriz is empty? Valid question.
Who said he's empty?
The Sefer, he says, if the word naor means shaken out, and reik is empty.
He'll be
nothing there.
missing out all this.
Missing out everything. So could that be taken literally?
Yeah.
We see many people that not everybody goes to the early minyan. Some people go to the late minyan. So they have the mitzvah. Not late. I'm not the one after this month. But even if they go to the late minyan, they're not zrizim, not a zoriz. So there are many mitzvahs. Not everybody does mitzvah right away. There's a model to do mitzvah right away. But here he makes it sound like if you don't, you're missing out. You're going to be empty.
There's nothing.
Empty. Then nothing. So maybe you still have something. So maybe it doesn't mean literally. Maybe everything's relative. The difference between maybe not to be taken literally. He's empty and has nothing. But it means relative to what he could have had. It's considered like he has nothing, even though he has much. In our world also, in the world of whatever people are running after, money or success, prosperity, whatever it might be. So the difference between a person who works at it and has a goal and continues and is deliberate and conscious of what he's doing, he ends up being successful, and a person who's like, even though he has something, but he's empty. There also might be another aspect that sometimes there's such a big gain that someone might have had, and he lost out on that, like a major loss. The fact that he could have had that was a major loss, even though he does have mitzvahs here and there. But the difference between a person, we see it in everyday life. A person, like they say in Marshall, that you don't see your fingernail growing, you don't see yourself growing. A person every day. What's the difference between a person who takes one step every day and a person who doesn't take any step? So it's true. On one day, just was one step of a difference, but things add up. So over time, how does it go? The rabbit and the
Hair.
And the So even though it's a small step, but another small step, and another small step, and another small step, so he's the one who gets someplace, and the person who doesn't, he doesn't get. So there is a difference between a person who's a Zerus or not. He's going to miss out, sometimes consistently missing out, and even though he'll have some things, but relatively to what he could have had. Or the fact that sometimes he misses out on something big that can be considered an overrake.
There's a statement that kids always say, or teachers say to kids, Pri mihirut charata.
What does that mean?
The fruit of going too fast, doing something too quick is charata.
So doing too fast. Okay, that's another point that was mentioned earlier, that if you do something too fast, so then it's not going to be called swift, it's going to be called pezizut, impetuous, doing something.
Doing it just quickly.
Right, so he's going to say later not to do it that way. It doesn't mean that. When he says to do it as soon as possible and to finish up as soon as possible, he doesn't mean to do it quickly in a way that you didn't do a good job. Do it perfectly. But don't procrastinate whatever is not necessary. So far I spoke about the Yetzer Hara. Now he talks about also a person's nature. So I don't know if this goes back to our question if the Yetzer Hara is an outside force or it's a person himself. But now he continues, V'tira kiteva adam kaved mod. Man's nature is very heavy. Man is created with a heavy nature. He's not light. A person, most people, he says here, all people, that they have a certain heaviness to them. They don't move.
Oh, you mean we're material and slow?
They don't. It's hard to exert. One has to exert himself to move. The natural state of man is stationary, and he has to exert himself to move, and it's not easy. It's hard for him to move. So
in rest,
I say that to my wife all the time. She doesn't believe me.
Physics.
It's what I was created.
I'm afraid it's emotional that it's like running up and going an escalator going down. That's what life is like. You're running up the escalator while it's still going down. You have to run fast to get up there. You're always fighting the...
So his point is that man's nature is heavy. It's hard for him to exert himself. Right. How would you translate this? The earthliness of the materialism is coarse, gas. That man's makeup is heavy. Like you said, that man's made of the dust. His natural state is heavy. Right. Therefore, man does not desire exertion and work. But a person who wants to merit to serve Hashem, he has to overpower his nature. He has to go against his nature. He's bringing a point now that it's his very nature. That it's man's very nature to be stationary. And to move is against his nature. He has to overcome his very nature.
It's even the law of physics, a body in motion will stay in motion, a body in rest will stay in rest. Where bodies are prefer to stay at rest.
He has to overcome, strengthen himself. He says twice. I don't know why he says it twice. Because if he leads himself to his heaviness, he surely will not be successful. A person by his natural state will not move. He brings the whole mission over here. A person should be bold like a leopard, light like an eagle, running like a deer, and strong like a lion. To do the will of your Father in heaven. So the Chori is referring to either Kal Kanesha or Ratz Katzvi, that a person should be light. The opposite of Kaved is to be Kal Kanesha, to be light. Someone told me, I don't know if it's true, you have to ask somebody who knows, or maybe you know, that an eagle, it's very easy for him to go into flight. Is that true? He doesn't need a lot of preparation. To take off it doesn't need a lot of preparation. So if that's true, so then that's the Kal Kanesha. that a person should be light, that it shouldn't be a lot of preparation in order to take off. He should be able to take off into flight lightly. There's what? But we have to make ourselves have a kal connection.
When it's in the air, it's easy, kal,
So the point is, maybe that's the shot.
It just puts its wings out. It doesn't have to.
Glides.
It
doesn't need to. It just glides.
So maybe in that issue he's saying Ratzkat Tzvi means you have to take all the miles of all the different animals. Be Ratzkat Tzvi means you should be continuing to run like a deer, that they don't stop, they continue, they don't give up, they continue running constantly. Gibor Kari, I don't think that's the issue over here. Maybe he talks about Gevura. He said over here a person has Yizgaber, Yizdores. He uses both words. He uses the word that a person has to be Kal, not Kaved, and also Gibor. So I'm not sure which one it's referring to. Like it says, to get up in the morning to be Gibor Kari, to get up like a lion. So a person has to overcome his natural state of heaviness.
Is a Gibor.
It's true, but that's that. Here,
the answer is to just stay in one place and not do anything.
Okay. Even though I was trying to point out that before he said Yetzer, now he says Teva Ha'adam. Is it two different things, or is it all one and the same? The evil inclination, you could say there's an inclination to do evil, and then but the issue of being heavy is not evil inclination. That's the state of man. That's the fact of that's his nature. So I think that he's saying 2 points. One is Yetzer Hara, one is Teva Ha'adam. I hear this from Rabbi Shlomo Zilberman, that he says 2 points. One is Yetzer Hara, however you translate that, evil inclination, either a malach or a person's innate evil inclination. Then Teva Ha'adam, that a person is heavy. It's heavy. It's hard for him to move without any evil. Just as hard for him to move. Chazal have a list of things that have to have strengthening, and among the list is Torah and Masim Tovim. That it's not natural. You have to be mitchazek. You have to strengthen yourself. On leaving it to your nature, it's going to die down.
You mean people need chizuk to be involved in Torah and Masim Tovim?
Right.
I always thought our job is to mechazek Torah and Masim Tovim.
I don't think so. Advam Tzvichim Chizuk means in his own. I think so. In his own. Over there also says about Torah Masim Tovim. What else does it say? I think Tefillah and Derech Eretz. I think those are the 4. By man, the man. People need Chizuk in order to do it correctly.
Get involved in these things.
If he leaves himself to his nature, it's gonna taper off.
Doesn't mean things that that themselves need strengthening.
I mean the abstract Torah or Masim Tovim. I thought not. I thought it means the people. Yeah. The people need this really strengthening. Right. I think that's Rashi says over there. Omikram Alayu. It's an open pasuk. Chazak ve'ematz ma'od l'shmoa lasos k'chol haTorah she'etziv chomoshav di. Over there, Hashem is talking to Yeshua, and Hashem tells Yeshua to strengthen himself, make himself strong, courage, to very much to observe and to do all of the teachings that Moshe said. So you need Chazak ve'ematz to do Torah. It's a person has to strengthen himself very much to go against his nature. That's the point that Mesillas Yesharim is saying now. This whole paragraph is talking about the man's nature, that is a heavy nature, and to go against his nature you have to be overpowering your nature. So he said 2 points, just to point us to sum up so far. He said something about the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, which is trying to grab mitzvahs away from him. And the other one is that a man's by nature is also heavy. Someone heard from Rabbi Shlomo Zilberman, I'm not sure if it's the only pshat that's necessarily possible to say here, but he's coming to explain what's wrong with procrastinating. So he's saying that you should know if a person is heavy, and it's hard for him to move, and he procrastinates, I'll come back later in a half hour, I'll do the mitzvah. So that might not be a problem in its own if there wouldn't be the danger of losing the mitzvah. If it'll still be, if losing the opportunity. If the opportunity will be here in a half hour still, okay, say procrastinated. Maybe there's some lack in that, but it'll come back, it'll still be there. But since he says that the Yetzer Hara is using its tachbulos, all kinds of strategies that he should not get the mitzvah. So now you're in danger, because the fact that you don't do it right away, now the opportunity is here now. Now it's knocking at the door. Grab it, because if you don't grab it, it's not going to be there later anymore. So there's a danger. If the person wouldn't be lazy, then it wouldn't be any difficulty in doing it right away. But now the combination of these 2 points, that is the Yetzer Hara is trying to steal the mitzvahs from you, and there is also the man's nature of heaviness. So now these two cause a problem. The combination of these 2 issues, Yetzer Hara and Teva Ha'adam, now he has issue that he has to overcome his nature in order not to lose the mitzvahs.
So heaviness was like, don't bother.
What is that?
Well, the fact of heaviness.
I don't think there is such a thing to say. It could be, but it seems at this point he's not going to say don't do the mitzvah. He's saying we'll do it soon.
I'll do it soon. The heaviness would say.
The heaviness will say, "We'll do it soon." He's not. He probably is not going to say. If he realizes that there's a diamond over there, he's not going to say, "I'll."
Time and heaviness.
Yeah, you need to finish a Masechta Mishnah by Shloshim. So I got 30 days.
29,
That's an easy
27.
Mishnah. I can finish that in a week and a half. I don't need 30 days.
And then it comes a week.
Then it comes a week. So the schar is obviously from this. The schar is much less, even though you're right. You finished the Mishnah and you said you were going to do it in 30 days. But the schar would probably be much greater if you did it right away.
That's probably very true, but he didn't say so. He didn't say so. So far, he just said you're going to miss it. You're not going to do it. You're going to lose out. I think what you say he's going to say later on. But so far, he says that the danger of procrastination is that you're going to lose out. You're going to come back. It's not going to be there. You're going to miss it out. At the last minute, something's going to come up. You're not going to be able to do it. So the issue of alacrity is in order to make sure that you do it. So far, that's the way he presents the issue. But your point, I think, is going to bring up later on. So far, he introduced the issue of Bibir Midas as Rizos. Now he's going to bring support from Chazal, from Psukim. Shlomo Melech Shana Ma'od Ba'azir Shlomo Melech repeated very much. He repeatedly warned us against the issue of procrastination in Mishlei. In Mishlei Proverbs, he wrote about different subjects, and very much he repeats the issue about alacrity, doing things right away and not to procrastinate. He shows us the evil of laziness and the great loss that's caused by it. Over here it talks about that a person says, I'll sleep a little bit, I'll snooze a little bit, hugging his hands to go to sleep. When a person goes to sleep, he hugs himself. And your poverty, Reishacha is lashon of rush, like a reish. Reish shin means a poor man. So Reishacha, your poverty will come like a traveler, and your lack will come like an armed man. Means if you do that, if you procrastinate and go to sleep a little bit, dremel, snooze, so your poverty is going to come like a traveler, and your loss is going to come like an armed man. They say the point is that this traveler, he comes suddenly he's going to come. He's going to come suddenly upon you, and the Ishmael gain, the fact that he's armed, means you can't get out of him. Once he gets to you, once he attacks, it's possible to get out of his clutches. He already has you, like an armed soldier. The Mahalech, some say that it means suddenly, some say that it means slowly.
What's it mean? An image of poverty is going to come on him, or?
Here's talking about the mashal about poverty. No, because he's not going to have any money. The person who doesn't work for a living, yeah. He has what to do. He has to take care of his business, and And I'll do it soon. I'll take care of my field soon. I have to build a gate, then I have to take care of the weeds. And he just says, I'll do it, but he goes to sleep first. And then the poverty is going to come up on him and he's not going to realize it. Some say that Mahalech is, there are two pshatim in the word Mahalech. This traveler doesn't mean to say it's going to come slowly upon you without realizing it, or doesn't mean that it's going to come suddenly upon you. It means you don't realize it the whole time until it suddenly comes, then it's too late. People, they realize their problem, it's too late already. They didn't take care of everything they're supposed to take care of, and the whole time they didn't realize it. Then when it comes, it's too late, and then it's also too late to get out of it because he's already in the clutches of that problem. So that's the mashal Shlomo Melech uses, and he says a whole mashal over there. We're going to see the mashal soon. He talks about he passed by. The Mesillas Yesharim is going to bring himself to Psukim where Mishlei describes the whole issue of the lazy man, of all the damage that's caused by him.
I originally thought that it was travelers, meaning a traveler person, let's say a salesperson. A traveler is usually someone who's anticipates things in the future. So he's traveling, it's like, okay, if I don't succeed in this business deal, I'll have the next one. I'm like, I'm working on it. But the longer he pushes it off, like all of a sudden, always in the end, something happens, like boom, and like, he lost out because. So the armed person is coming at the end. Is when he least expects it, that's where he's knocking him out, and then. But the traveler is like, because he doesn't think that it's so important to protect himself, because he always has another opportunity in another place and another place.
But what it says here that the poverty is going to come like a traveler. How do you translate that? The poverty is going to come like a traveler.
It's something that not everybody becomes poor overnight. It's something that. It's just little by little, you're just losing it and losing more. You're still traveling,
and then when it comes,
make it in the next one. And okay, so I wasted money here. make
make
it
it
in the
up over
next one, and then all of a sudden, boom, he doesn't have anything.
You understand? Hine, so kine ha'atzel, af al pi she'eino aser ba b'makom aseh, even though this lazy man, even though he's not actively doing evil, hine maybe aser ra lo b'sheb al taseh. He passively brings on the evil. There's something subtle about it that camouflages the issue. The fact that he's not actively doing it, and he didn't actually do anything bad, but the fact that he passively causes the evil, he's just as guilty. By not doing. And the lazy man, he's losing out on all the opportunity by not doing. The Omar, Shlomo Melech also, another pasuk says that he who is lax in his work is a brother to the destroyer. I once read a mashal. I read a mashal. I forgot which paper it was. I thought it was a very nice mashal, that you could have two ways of killing a person. One is that you go and push him off the roof. The other one is a person whose job, he describes over there, a person whose job was to be an inspector in lumber yards. You have these big warehouses, and you have the gates up high, and you have a gate that whoever goes on those tall buildings, inside the building, whatever the case of a lumber yard was, I don't know what the word for it is. What's the word for these?
Lumber yard?
And within these warehouses, they have big, high platforms that you have to walk on, and scaffolds, and you have some kind of a marquee, some kind of a fence. So there's an inspector. They're supposed to come. He's supposed to do the job once, whatever, once a year, whatever it is, to inspect that it's safe. It's safe. But he's misrabba b'malachto. He was lax in his job, and there was something that should have been fixed, and he didn't check it. And somebody leans on the gate and falls down. He also pushed him off the roof.
Oh, one's intentional, one.
But one was sheval tasa, one was kumaseh. You're right. Also, besides being the point of if it was intentional or not, but he did it by negligence. He didn't actually push him. He didn't kumaseh. Not the point about meaning it, not meaning it. There could be somebody who pushed somebody off also not intentionally, but he actively pushed him. But here is a person who passively pushed him. He passively pushed him, and he should be just as. The case of the Versailles, the hotel over there, right? Right. They didn't, but they're responsible because he.
What's the thing of the Versailles?
With the wedding hall that fell in during the 100 people.
So even though he didn't do anything actively, but he did it passively. So that's the mashal of a lazy man. That even though he doesn't do active evil, he does passive evil, and that's the pasuk. The Baal Mashchis is the destroyer, active destroyer, and the Misrapeh b'malachto, the one who's lax. So he's passive. He's passive, but he says he's achu l'Baal Mashchis. He's his brother. It means he's related to him. He's very close. Even though he's not manually doing the evil, don't think that he's far from it. He's very, very similar. His brother is very similar. He's very closely related. So that's Shlomo Melech. Two places he brought already. One in about Perek Vav, one in Perek 18.
The second guy wouldn't even think, I don't do anything wrong.
So now he's telling him you did. That now they call him up. The police come and say you didn't check the fence.
That bridge and the Maccabees, they had a bridge, and all these kids came all over the world, and the bridge collapsed, and
also they fell.
The Arco River was poisoned, and so they took these guys to court.
Mm.
Hopefully they.
So that's not much the same point about all this passive evil. So this is his mashal of Mishlei in a few places where he talks about this issue about the danger of being lazy. Then he also, Mishlei describes it in a picture form, so to speak. Like he's going to give a picture of what it looks like. What happens before our eyes every day. And he says a long story. Shlomo describes, I passed by the field of a lazy man. And I passed by the vineyard of a foolish man. It was full of thorns. It was covered with thistles. I'm saying the words that usually translated, thorns and thistles. But different kind of weeds and thorns. And also its stone gate was demolished. He sees it looks like a wreck. No fence, full of weeds, full of thorns. Animals are trespassing over there, eating up everything. He sees a korban over there. And I saw it, I took it to heart, and I studied it and took a lesson from it. Back to the other pasuk that he says, it's 2 times. The same pasuk says twice. There's in Parak 6, here's Parak 24. But very similar psukim. He says, I saw it and I took a lesson from it. A little sleep, a little slumber, hugging oneself to go to sleep. And then the poverty is going to come like a traveler, and your loss is going to come like an armed man. So he saw that this field was a result of laziness. Not that anybody knocked down the fence, not that anybody planted the thorns and thistles over there, but that's what happens. If you're lazy, you don't take care of it, so then the evil is going to come on its own, and you have to be the one who's
It's against it, protect.
right. You have to protect it. If you don't, passively you're going to be destroyed. The field's going to look like a korban, not because you actively did anything. That's one passively. So a person is responsible to act.
Is that also an image of a person's personality? If a person doesn't
I imagine.
work against
He's also going to be right.
evil,
He'll look like this korban over here. So this is the mashal that Shlomo Melech uses to describe the danger and the loss that happens from passive laziness.
We see in properties, homes that are not used, abandoned homes, they fall apart on their own, literally. In less than a few years, they completely fall apart.
People rip off everything that's useful.
No, nothing. No. Nature alone. Nature alone.
It's just left empty.
I was in a neighborhood in somewhere in the States, and I had been there, let's say, 4 years ago, and I remember walking to shul. My uncle said, this house here, the owner died and the wife moved out and the kids don't know what to do with it. 4 years later, walked by that same house. It was black. All the shingles were broken off the roof. The windows were busted. I said, what happened to this house? I have a fire? He goes, no, just rotting away. And you see, there's no line in it.
Looks like shade. It looks like a shade came. I have a relative. It looks like a demon came. I have a relative that he works in refrigerator repair. So he says that there's one customer that he calls in for maintenance, steady, once 6 months or a year, and the other customer that he only calls when he has a problem, and he comes about as often, but it costs 3 times the price. Just the maintenance alone, if you do it steady, so then you keep it healthy. But I guess people's bodies the same thing also, about taking care of a person's health.
Change the oil is 5,000 miles. If you don't do that, then you're not going to have.
So it's like passively destroying, passive destruction. That's his point there, that a person has to be active in order to take care of whatever he has to do. So he's talking about mitzvahs. He has subject as mitzvahs. We can apply it to other aspects of life also. But his issue is that a person has to do mitzvahs, and if he does passive, you're going to be losing out. Besides the simple translation, which is true, simple truth, that's what happens to a field of a lazy person. The Chazal darshan on this pasuk, on these different psukim about laziness, they darshan a medrash, beautiful medrash. It's going to talk about the different, going deeper and deeper into the problem. The first thing is that he doesn't learn well. He doesn't study the instructions of the Torah to know what's right and what's wrong. So at first he's lax and lazy in studying. So then when he's going to want to understand something, he's not going to be able to. He doesn't have the experience to know how to learn, and therefore when he's going to want to understand something, he's not going to be able to. And then Kosapon of Charulim, since he doesn't know how to study, he doesn't know the instructions how to study the Torah, so when it's going to come something lamaisa, it's going to come something that has to act on, he's going to have the wrong psak. He'll say that it's Torah or Tameh, he'll have the wrong psak, and he's going to do the Avera. That's going to be the issue about Paras Gedor Shachachamim. That's like Geder Avan of Neirasa, that he's going to demolish the gate. The gate in the mashal was that besides the field that everything is full of thorns and thistles, but also the gate fell down. That's the gate of Chazal. Chazal made gates, and now he's going to be Paras Geder. He's not going to do the halachas that the Chachamim said. The Chazal made certain fences around the mitzvahs that people shouldn't transgress them. He's going to be demolishing the fences. The Chazal continue. What's going to be the punishment? Shlomo perish. The person who knocks down the fence, the snake is going to bite him. There's a snake that's lurking behind the fence. He breaks down the fence. The snake is going to bite him. So he explains what the mashal is. The evil of the lazy man doesn't come at one shot. It doesn't come right away. Come slowly. The result of his laziness goes slowly. You don't see it right away. Without noticing it, without feeling it. It goes from evil to evil until he's already drowning in the epitome of evil. He doesn't realize it. As it's happening, he doesn't realize it till it's too late. Now he goes through the medrash. In the beginning, he's lazy, ishatzel, and he doesn't exert himself as much as he should have. That was the problem. The initial problem was he was ishatzel. Let's say ishatzel avarti. Because of that, that's the result of that is a chasar leiv, that he doesn't understand the Torah. He doesn't learn Torah enough because he's not exerting himself. When he's going to come to, when he does want to learn, for some reason he has to learn something, he's not going to understand. He doesn't know how to learn, so he's going to misunderstand it. Even if it would stop right there, that he doesn't understand the Torah, that already would be enough of a problem. But it goes further, that since he doesn't know the halacha correctly, he's going to paskin wrong. Because he wants to, say some kind of interpretation of the passage that he's learning. He's going to say something that's going to be wrong. He's going to have the wrong halacha. That's called magalam panim b'torah shalok halacha. That's like the charulim, the thorns and the thistles. He will destroy the truth. He'll say wrong Torah. And that's going to come that he's going to breach the fences and he will transgress the kind that Chazal made. The sofa at the end is going to be destroyed, like it says, that anybody that breaks the fence is going to be destroyed. He saw this lazy man's field, and he took a lesson to himself. I studied it, contemplated it, and I saw the great evil of it. It's like poison, the venom of a snake. It takes time till it spreads out, and then it's too late. But while it's happening, you don't realize it. And it's not, and the effect is not noticeable until death. That's what the pasuk is referring to when it says that a little bit sleep, a little bit slumber, and then the lack, the poverty is going to come, and he's not going to be able to get out of it anymore. So that's his introduction of. We didn't finish the parak yet, but so far he says that that's the evil of passive laziness. That even though he's not doing anything actively, so it's camouflaged. When a person knows he's doing evil, so then he knows what he's doing. But here he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't see that there's evil that's going to happen. But that's the first point, to realize that even though it's sheval tase, it's passive and it's camouflaged. It takes a long time till it happens. But realize all the evil that's going to come out of that, and he's encouraging us to be alacritous, not procrastinate.
Just to be a
Alacritous, to do things right away. Don't to push off, not to push off and procrastinate, say I'll do it later, but to do it as soon as possible. We'll go into more detail as we continue, but that's the introduction to the new subject of Mesillas. Yashikah.
I thought I was the only one that had
Well, shir at that 7 o'clock meeting every single morning, like at clock.
At 6:45.
No, he's the Ramban. He's there at 6:45, but.